Hey yo, Lenny, I got you. Community Xchange. Can't walk. Y'all down watching the realest podcast in the city, you heard? It's our time, we ain't finna lose. We ain't just dropping, we giving jewels. This the spot where you get the news, updates and all the interviews. Where they at? Where y'all dudes been? Hottest in the city every time they tuned in. The mood is right, the clips is wide. You can't just tune in, you gotta hit subscribe.
What up, world? It's your boy Lenny here with Brian Carter, also known as D-Dot Brother. D-Dot Brother.
Absolutely.
Tell them a little bit about yourself.
Facts. Yo, this is the infamous B-Dot Rizzle, aka B-Dot, coming to you live from, where we coming from?
The MD Center. That's what
Right. Alright, first and foremost, hope everybody's having a good day. And if not, hit that 316, try it again.
See, I like that. See how you just switch it up, like 360 try. That's it. How do you even come up with that?
So, my students asked me that too. So to actually answer the very first question, who am I? So Brian Carter, I'm a magazine publisher based out of Philadelphia. I call myself a catalyst for change because essentially I'm bringing into me and amongst other people the necessary skills and things that I believe to propel us forward. So I'm an educator, I'm a lover of words, lover of writing and whatnot. And I want to see good things happen here in Philadelphia. So the way that I came up with hit that 360, try it again, right? It's a part of a developing thing that I've seen within myself. So originally I started off on Facebook, just going Facebook Live one night and watching all the shows and thinking about all the shows that I watched. I was like, they had intros, they had like little catchy stuff that they said. So Yo was like the first part, right? Then hit that 360 and tried it and kind of came about. And then I was like, yeah, I want this to stick. You know what I mean? And hit that 360 is really about pivoting, like repositioning yourself, repositioning your view to try again. And oftentimes when we think about getting out of bed and rolling out of bed wrong, get back in bed, hit that 360, we're gonna try this again. You know what I mean? So that's where it more so emerged from, just the love of me just wanting to express to people and just let them know, like, yeah, I mean, we always got another chance, bro. Like, we always got another chance.
That's cool. Like, being an educator, like, what made you get around?
So I come from a family of educators. First and foremost, my grandmother, my great aunt, them two combined, they have over 60 years of education experience. Carolyn Faye Snyder, Veronica Reed, and then both of their kids were educators. My aunt Kathy and then my uncle Ern. And then I'm like, yeah, I might have this education bug somewhere. I was like, I don't know yet, but I realized like I enjoyed helping people. I realized that I enjoyed being able to teach people. And before I realized, what type of stock that I came from, I had wanted to embark on being a therapist simply because I wanted to better understand myself and understand the world around me. So now looking at skill acquisition and suicide prevention being byproducts of me wanting to investigate and understand myself, how can I then give that back to other people? So my love for video games. I met a woman, I want to say back in 2018 in July, just telling her about the love that I have for video games. And she was like, yeah, I think you should do like this after school program. And I was like, all right, back, we'll see what's up with it. So I'm over here tripping and I'm like, how do I prepare this? So I prepared the document as if I was submitting like a curriculum. So it had a book, that I wanted to go by, it had timing, the requirements of the classroom curriculum. But me not like really putting two and two together. So the CEO of this school seen it and then asked her to ask me if I wanted to be a teacher. I was like, I was like, that's the stock that I come from. So then, boom, I was a 10th grade teacher at Tech for Erie teaching media arts, a class that I came up with.
So, teaching in Philadelphia, give the viewers like a rundown of your day. Okay,
so we definitely, I'm saying flat out, I'm teaching black students. Like I'm teaching black students, inner city youth or whatnot, right? Very impressionable, Definitely, I would say hard to impress. You have to have personality. You got to be malleable. You got to be adaptable. You got to be able to roll with the punches, literally. Yo, brother B-Rod, you look crazy today. And so do your grades, brother.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, yo, brother B-Rod, what's going on? Nothing much, but how's class coming along? So it's definitely, you have to have personality, right? A lot of these young people, they thrive off of pop culture, whatnot, right? So relatability, being able to understand and get down to the nitty gritty, right? So it's evident that I already have their language, but now being able to tie the way that I reach them with my language with their additional interests, right? Because my headspace for being able to stimulate my students is that they need to know that I know more about their actual world that's going on than what they think I know, right? And being able to tell them things that they speculated about. So for me, that's what I needed to have. I need to have personality. I need to have energy. I need to be on the swivel. I need to be relatable. But then also too, recognizing that I play more than just one role, right? My first, I want to say, a touching experience was with one of my students, and she was just like, "Brother Bieber, I need to tell you about my girlfriend." And I'm like, "She need to tell me about her girlfriend." And I was like, "Okay," I'm having like one of my first moments. I was like, "Oh, all right." So how am I going to handle this? How am I going to deal with this? And then as a person, right? So just welcoming things that I may not initially understand, may not even know that I'm gonna be. So that, yeah.
As being an educator, do you think the language, the way you speak, relates to them than someone, let's say, 20 or 30 years older than you? Because y'all can say the same thing, but it's the way you word it, they hit different. So is it inner city youth, like, I was working with some inner city youths, and a lot of things that go on there was like, they get labeled, like with behavioral health now we get labeled certain things. So a lot of times they hold that stigma for everything. Like, I don't want to study, I can't. I got ADHD, I can't think. Like, or say like, I can't sit still, so I don't want to do it. So how do you even combat or even, I don't even know what word to say, like even get through to those kids?
So it's very interesting that young people don't always recognize what they can't do, right? But they can never tell us what they can't do. So what I do is that I try to look for the things that they like and see how they respond to those things that they like to do, right? I can't sit still. Okay. Well, what activities and passions do you have that require you to remain focused, that require you to remain steady, that require you to have composure? Because there's a different understanding that I have of you staying still. There's activity up here, and there's activity right here. So what activity are we talking about? And just being able to get a student right there, trying to get them to understand what level of interaction are we talking about. Do you want rapid movement of the mind, rapid movement of the body? You're telling me that you can't focus. Again, I want to see where you focus at. Now maybe you want to step into my realm. You play video games, right? You know that video games require focus. You know that video games require you, some of them, to sit down, to pay attention, to look at details and whatnot. Hand-eye coordination. So I don't really listen to what students tell me that they can't do, because I'm already looking for what they can do and how that translates into what they tell me that they can't do. It's all about taking the skill from one area and putting it in another. So I don't really do the I can't. I'm like, nah, you can't tell me that you can't do something when you've already shown me that you can. Right? You see what I'm saying? Like, you don't aspire to be a dummy when you already showed me your brilliance. I'm not gonna let you do that.
So what is one of the good things like you implemented, like something original that you implemented in like education?
Something that I've implemented that's original in education, I will say being the utmost relatable, right? And I say that because I'm coming from arts and fashion, music and poetry and global consumption of pop culture, right? But then I also have my own slant that comes along with it. I recognize that I wasn't, I would say, the most popular kid in school, right? But I still had the popular kids with me. And I kept trying to figure out what was this X factor, right? What was it? I don't know. Maybe I had this big zipper jacket that made all this noise, or maybe because I had an afro. Like, what was it that just made the popular kids want to just have this little quirky friend or whatnot? So now I'm bringing that into, here we are in 2022. Everybody's quirky. Everybody's playing anime. Everybody's playing video games. Everybody has these little nuances that were made, right? So now I can speak to that. I can speak to the quiet student that's a really good artist and show them where they shine at besides being quiet. I can show them how to be loud in different ways. I can speak to the student that likes to do photography and may not speak up about it. Or I can speak to the loud student with my experiences of having my classmates or having my other coworkers that have had that loud energy, showing them how to utilize it, from being a gamer, playing Yu-Gi-Oh!, recognizing that there's different ways to use your advantages and disadvantages. So I can, what I give to students, or what allows me to speak to them, is that I can size them up properly. I can look at their skills and their career opportunities and show them with their passions, this is where I believe you can go. And these are some other things I think you should look at, because I'm not really privy to that space. But if you explore it, maybe you can combine it with something that you already got.
Quirky is that. I'm gonna tell you, my kids animate up, you know. They don't even care about matching. They just have their own style. And to me, it's just like, it's so, I want to say it's weird. I just don't get it, because I was never that. I was always sports, you know, music. And my son and most kids, they all in the video game. They all in the, you know, live their own fashion, their own little slang. You know, even expressing themselves with even dancing. Because me, it was too cool even for me to do that back in the day, unless it was like something that was just like a Wall-E or, you know. So the way kids express themselves now, I feel as though they're more open to just be themselves. But how do you take that with, like, you know, just empowering them? Because they're empowered certain things that they feel is just natural or in their element, but how do you get them to like focus more on something that is attainable to them, but they haven't like tapped into it yet?
So I'm gonna bring you into Dragon Ball Z. You familiar with it?
I don't even watch it.
All right.
But I know certain things about it, but I don't watch it.
Say less. So so one thing about Dragon Ball Z is that it's really filled with culture, and the person that contains that culture is Vegeta. He's one that he's so full of himself, right? He's so full of what it means to be a Saiyan. Now, switch the word Saiyan with being black. He knows the traditions and customs of being black. He knows what it means to be black, right? And you look at Frieza, this quote-unquote white tyrant that wiped out all of the Saiyans. There was a handful of them just trickling around in the universe trying to figure out what it is, right? That's what I had to deal with growing up. Recognizing I was a young black boy just in the world, and I didn't know where I belonged. But I had these shows, I had these things that spoke and brought life into me and whatnot, right? So now recognizing that, like the cartoons that they watch with all these people that have these little quirks and different ways that they operate, showing them where they fit. And if you don't fit anywhere, then you create space where you fit. Because that's the same tenacity, the same audacity that a lot of those cartoons and animes that they're watching. Full Metal Alchemist was about them creating alchemy, using themselves to produce something, and they all had labels. So every show and every anime I watched had a label. And if it wasn't a label that somebody gave them, it was a label that they made for themselves. So here I am, I use video games with the therapy that I want to provide for people. I watch Full Metal Alchemist. They have alchemists and they're defined by their alchemy. I'm defined by my therapy. So by the anime, I'm a video game therapist.
That's deep. See, I like that. Now I gotta watch anime and, you know, get it together. See, you got somebody right now.
Right.
So, besides even like educating and being like a teacher, you always said you're an educator. So, outside of the teaching realm, give us like a rundown of certain things that you do.
So, like I said, aspiring video game therapist, that's one thing I want to do. As I've mentioned, I study skill acquisition and suicide prevention using video games. So that's one thing I want to do. I also have my publication, which is named Main Course PHL. It's Philadelphia's Arts and Entertainment Lifestyle Magazine. Fashion, music, gaming, politics, community happenings, you name it, we got it. And if not, we're working on it. Besides that, just really focused on how I can be a better game changer for Philadelphia and remove that label of the largest sports city in the nation.
All right, we're gonna take a little break, but we're gonna come back and talk about a little main course meal, the publication. Talk about, you said you using a poetry room. I need to know about this little slang club, all of that.
Right.
And we're gonna get back right after this.
Body on edge, but tonight don't be scared, cause I'm about to show off. Once you take them home from the front door to the bed, I'ma keep your body on edge, but tonight don't be scared, cause I'm about to show off. Once you take them clothes off, I'ma rub on it, body, love on it, body, have you breathing hard, baby, don't tell nobody, love on it, body, rub on that body, baby, have you scream my name, yeah.
She like, don't stop, yeah, daddy, give me that. I pull her hair and talk dirty while she throw it back. Thought about snaking that, mommy got them oils. Your man not hitting your spot, I do it for you.
From the front door to the bed, I'ma keep your body on edge, but tonight don't be
Main course, PHL. How do you even come up with that name?
So, I would get clowned in my family about not cooking, because I'm the one that went to school. And I'm like, So, I'm like, yeah, I may have not stayed in the kitchen, but I stayed in culture. And just recognizing I had this ability to write. And I'm like, well, I can make stories. I can make some culture. I can cook that up. So, but originally the idea was on idea's name. Oh my God. It was just so like, So we were gonna call it the Philadelphia Emissary. And the guy I pitched the name to, he was like, you know what an emissary is, bro? And I was like, yeah. I was like, it's a messenger. He was like, of war. I was like, I mean, if you look at it that way. He's like, nah, we can't call it that, bro. So I'm thinking about all these names, and then I thought about my middle initials, which was MC. And I was like, well, both of my parents are cooks and chefs and stuff like that, and they can cook food, I can cook up culture. So it just kept coming back to these two words. I was like, yeah, we're gonna go with main course. So the M and C they are my middle initials.
Yeah, also main course. What even made you even come up with a publication? Like, you know, because certain times, it's like a writer. There are a lot of writers that were like, my biggest goal is to write a book. And they went to school 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line. They started a book, but never finished it or went through it.
Right.
What made you even just go through it? It was like, yo, I need to do this.
So it stemmed from a lot of stuff. Like I said, I'm somebody that wants to end Xchange in Philadelphia. And in college, I understood the power of words. I understood that they can make people do amazing things, whether or not they're harmful or helpful, right? They can empower. And I said, you know, I'm asking myself, what is it that I want to do with words? And I want to be able, at that point in time when I was on Lincoln's campus, I wanted to be able to create a space where we would be respected by our elders, where our vision of reality and what we're going through would be heard. So originally I was with a publication called the Philadelphia Link, and I was running that for a couple years, and then I branched off and of course started my own. So now here we are with Main Course, cooking up culture, serving the community. And it's literally like that, right? When you go into an eatery such as, you know, the spots, the buffets, whatnot, right? That's how I envision Main Course as a literary dish. You know, you get to pick and choose what you want. Sometimes you go to a buffet, it's not exactly what you want or exactly what you may have an appealing for, right? But you know it's there. That's the same way I feel about information. Some information you need to know about, whether or not you want to acknowledge it or not, right? So being able to produce correlations that people may have never seen before, like politics and gaming. Some people don't recognize that. Some people don't recognize that there's sexual assault within the video game development industry. But if nobody's bringing that to your attention, you don't know about it. On top of me bringing that, also talking about jobs, also talking about these undercurrent cultures, as I call them, that people may not be privy to, but I know, and I know they also have value in it.
Where can someone get a copy or even find your main course, magazine, or you have a website for it, anything?
Absolutely. You can check us out on www.maincoursephl.com. Same name for Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Okay. So I'm on the website, boom, and I click on it. Give me like a rundown. Like, suppose I want to see what's it about?
Mm-hmm.
What are like the main things I'll find on the site?
Right now, you'll find things about education because we recognize that as a high topic. We also recognize that our readership are parents.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have been preparing on the website is to create a resource of different programs or different tips and tricks that parents and educators have used to navigate this time. Along with that, you'll find a gentleman, his name is Jesse Tucker,
Mm-hmm.
and he won the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 tournament presented by Big E. That was, what's the name of that tournament? Not gonna mess it up, but you can find it on our website. So more so looking at this interaction between gaming and education too. So that's the type of content that you'll immediately find on the website. We just featured a young lady from Lincoln University. Her name is JB Baxter, and she won an Emmy for doing production work around HBCUs.
Wow.
Yeah, so different things like that. That's what we're looking to do. Talk about education, talk about gaming, and like I said, bring forward these underlying communities.
The gaming, it's a big thing.